Have you bought a new home in the last couple years? Because new home sales have absolutely been crushed in the last little while here. New home sales are actually down 55% in November. And no surprise to anybody, condos have taken the hardest hit. In this video, we're going to talk about an article here at the Toronto Star, and it's no surprise to a lot of you. If you've been following the channel or if you've been following Toronto real estate news, condos have been in the forefront of all the news over the last 12 months. And not for good reasons for the most part here. Not only are condos becoming more difficult to sell in the GTA, we're also seeing a lot of them just not selling at all, especially when it comes to the new home sales section of things. Article titled, Toronto area new home sales are down 55% in November, with condos taking the hardest hit. New condo sales continue to suffer, selling at a rate of 81% lower than last November, 90% lower than Toronto Region's 10-year average. These are massive numbers. Let's take a look at the article that we have here. It is done by Victoria Gibson. She's the affordable housing reporter here at the Toronto Star. So another lethargic month has come and gone in Toronto area real estate market, with tens of thousands of new builds languishing without buyers, as 55% of these did not trade hands in the last November, the industry data is showing. The new figures compiled by Atlas Data on behalf of the GTA-based Building Industry and Land Development Association suggests that a series of interest rate cuts from the Bank of Canada following the sustained campaign of rate hikes has not opened the floodgates at all of the demand that they're looking for, and the would-be buyers are still on the sidelines here for home costs to drop within their reach. In total, new home sales in November, 759 homes, including 249 new condos, 510 single-family homes, were 77% below the 10-year average for November. We're going to go over all this article after, and I'll give you my full opinion, but let's continue here as we're going through the article. As in the past months, that drop was especially precipitous for condos that are selling at a rate of 81% lower than November last year and 90% lower than that 10-year average. More new single-family homes sold compared to last November, which is great. Sales were actually up 32% compared to November 2023, but the activity is still 45% lower than that 10-year average. Like, you're comparing year over year, it sounds good, but when you look at that 10-year span, it is not looking very good for new home sales, whether it's condo or single family. It ain't working for either side of things here. It's really just a tale of two markets, said Justin Sherwood, an executive with the Development Industry Association. We're starting to see some progress on the single family side, albeit it's very, very small, but the condo market has really stalled out. In the last decade, we have seen wild swings in Toronto area buyers' appetite, including obviously the 2021 activity that we were seeing all the way down to what we're currently seeing. And now part of this drop is likely just pulling back on investors, says Sherwood. He suspects that there's also a broader focus at play. We are seeing the largest generation after the boomers getting into family formation time, and there may be higher degree of interest in the single family type of product. There have been signals lately of the market shifting. Canadian Real Estate Association announced that sales overall, not just new home sales in the GTA, have gone up, which is great news for a second month in a row. So new mortgage rules also just came into effect on December 15th, as you might have seen in a previous video that I've done, aimed at helping more first-time home buyers and new build buyers gain a foothold into ownership. It isn't surprising that new home sales are slower to ramp up than the resale interest. Sherwood also mentions here, given resale actually offers some things that buyers can actually get into tomorrow versus waiting this longer period of time. This is always a setback with pre-construction. How long do you really want to wait to get into your new home? 1, 3, 5, 7 years? Or do you just want to buy something and get into it in the next 60 days? So given the current trajectory of the interest rates and any other changes he expects to see in the new home ownership, potentially ramping up in 2025, with lowered interest rates hopefully more on the horizon, as well as new mortgage rules for first-time buyers, we can expect that in the new year we will see much more movement in the new home sales. While new home sales slumped in November, inventory remained relatively stable. A total of 17,168 new condos were sitting on the market, without buyers in November. The Altus data shows, along with 4,800 new single-family homes, and that's enough to roughly last 14 months. The price to purchase these new homes without considering factors such as how much interest the homeowner would pay on their mortgage is meanwhile sitting slightly below last year's benchmarks. For new condos, that benchmark price was down 2.2%, roughly 1.02 million, and for new single-family homes, the benchmark was down a similar amount, 2.3%, and that brought the price down to 1.56 million, the survey had found here. Well, what does all this mean? We're actually seeing a slump. No surprise, we've talked about this several different times, but it's continuing this trend. So we are now seeing about 20,000 pre-construction or new construction homes and condos still available on the market. That's going to average out to 14 to 16 months of actual inventory should nothing sell. Now, it's going to take a lot of time for all of that inventory to sell, but there is a lot of push on their end saying the market's going to get better, interest rates are coming down, things are looking more bright, and it's not really picked up all that much on the resale side of things. So what do I think on the new development side of things? I think it's still going to be extremely slow in 2025. I know they're saying as rates get lower, it's going to make the new home development, sell faster. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. People are still not willing to just jump at the resale side of things, which resale, we know how it works. You're buying, you're getting today's price, today's value, today's interest rates, and you are being in the position where you can actually get into that property in 30, 60, or 90 days. I don't think I'm getting super excited with a little bit of an interest rate adjustment here, even if it lowers another point. I don't think it's going to excite me enough to get into a pre-construction project myself, knowing that there's still a long wait time until I'm going to get into that project. What happens is you're only able to hold your rate for so long, and maybe the rates are good today if you're going to purchase a pre-construction project. It doesn't mean that they're going to be good when it comes time to actually moving into that unit. And sometimes the bank will hold your rate for 3 years, and pre-construction a lot of the time is going to take more than 3 years, especially if it's a condo and especially if it's a larger building. If it's a smaller building, maybe you get in there on that time frame, but if it's a larger building, 30, 50, 60 stories, getting in there on these timelines is just very unrealistic. There's a lot of issues that can potentially arise, and on average, we know builders are going to have to at least delay the project one time. It's just something that, if you've seen my other video about buying a pre-construction home, it's something that happens more often than it doesn't happen. What would my advice be here? If you're going to buy something right now, I don't think I'd be buying pre-construction. That's just me. If you want to buy pre-construction, I'm happy to help guide you through what that process looks like, because there's definitely some nuance, but I don't think personally I'd be getting into the pre-construction myself. I'd be looking more on the resale side of things, where I know the value that I'm paying today and I'm not worried about it going down in the long term. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any additional insights, drop them in the comment section down below so we can have a little bit of conversation together. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.